Hey, friends or foes. I know some of y'all are out there. I'm just kidding. Welcome to my page of Daisy's Gone Coloring. This is my first YouTube video, so I didn't really know like what to talk about or anything. So I just figured I'd give you guys a little background on this drawing that I'm doing. This was actually one of my friends. Her name is Ajee, and she's from Mississippi. She was out in California during the COVID pandemic. She was one of the travel nurses, and I met her during my time when I worked with LA County, and we were doing the vaccine rollouts. Those were some traumatic times. I don't really like talking a lot about those times, but something great that came from the pandemic in my life was meeting her. She was an amazing friend, very trustworthy, very easy to talk to. She's those people that you just automatically cling on to, and you just know she's a good person. And so that's how our friendship started. And she's back in Mississippi now, and I'm still in California, but we talk every now and then. We still keep in touch, check up on each other. She's just an amazing person. And this photo that she sent me had the little Snapchat filters with the little hearts underneath the eye. I thought it was so adorable. So I figured I would choose that photo to draw her. It was a very pretty photo and it inspired me, so that's the one I chose. But we'll see how you guys like it. So far right now I'm just doing like the rough sketching, not a lot of details, just heavier line work so that I know, where the different shades, the different segments of the drawing are basically. So right there I'm just drawing the hair. Ajee has like the tightest, coiliest curls. It's so pretty. I know this image is going to do that justice, but I tried. And currently right now I'm an apartment manager, and I thought it would be a pretty, laid back kind of job, but nothing but wild things have been happening ever since I took this job. I was running away from like the LA County nepotism and all the stress that comes along with that kind of job, which was actually a lot. It was, really cool to be a part of the public health department, but at a certain point you just kind of like stop growing, and you only go up if you know people that are in higher positions that really like you, and that's kind of how you get into it. And I was just over it, didn't really want to do it. So my fiance's friend, they're apartment managers, and they're like, hey, like we have an opening. So we jumped on that opportunity. I took the job. They were telling me that it's like basically a super chill job, just had some basic duties to do. And oh my goodness, was I definitely not expecting for a job like this to be so stressful. It's not only babysitting adults, it's just it's so much to deal with. I don't even know like where to start really. On my first day, we had so much to deal with. I was moving in, but I hit the floor running. I had like 5 requests. Somebody didn't have internet and they worked from home, so that was a struggle. Then I had some really upset man that was just walking down the street. I don't know what triggered him, but he got really angry, grabbed his satchel, started just like hitting the ground with it. And then he goes, sees his reflection on the door of my building, kicks his leg through it, smashes it. That glass just exploded into like thousands of little pieces. And that was my first day. So it was a very welcoming day, I would say, for sure. And that just kind of was a little taste of the kind of people that live around this area. And a lot of these people don't have homes. There are homeless population out here, which increased I think by 35% in this area. And it's really sad to see, but they're on survival mode, so they're going to try to get in to safety, to shelter whenever they can. And in California, squatters have rights, and like that's a little gray area, I would say, because they're basically living for free in vacant spaces that are not occupied, but they a lot of the times are using heavy drugs or disrupting the peace or kind of just creating an unhealthy environment for the people that do live in the area, especially in apartments that are so close together. If you just, I don't know, sleeping at night, not expecting anything to go wrong. You lived in a building that has gates and whatever, and then out of nowhere, you just wake up 3 in the morning to somebody like trying to force their way in through your door, and it ends up being, some person on methamphetamines just shouting and stomping, trying to get into your house. I mean, that's terrifying. So I definitely feel bad for tenants that have gone through that. My tenants have gone through that. So it's very unfortunate, and it just makes this job a little harder because I want people to feel safe. I want to feel safe. Like, I live here too. I'm the on-site manager, and it's just not something I want to deal with. I would really love for the city to take care of this problem, especially if it's a reoccurring issue that's on the rise. Like, that needs to be paid attention to. Like, these people can't just be, living on the streets and trying to find shelter wherever they can, and they're doing so much. And I don't know if you guys believe in curses or bad luck or bad juju. I don't know. I kind of do. I believe that, people can have those bad energies and wish ill upon others and do all this crazy voodoo magic, whatever. But, and it's not like I do it, but I know that where good exists, so does evil. And just the craziest things have been happening to us ever since I took this job. And I don't know if it has to do with the area specifically. Like, these buildings were built, I believe, in like 1910 or 1920. So they're very old. And, they have little spooky areas. They have spooky basements. And some tenants that have been here for so many years that are very skittish. And you just, can't really talk to with them because they're just, afraid of you and basically live in darkness. Like, I'm not even lying. One of my tenants has no windows, and she loves that. That's how she wants to live. So whatever, I respect that. But yes, it's a very old building, and you don't know, like, people have died here. We don't know what the building was when it was first built, because we live so close to the ocean. We were guessing that maybe it might have been like a naval base hotel or like a restaurant with, I don't know, units upstairs, like housing for the Navy. We have no idea, but there's just so much energy outside of this building that something had to happen, because it's a very heavily foot trafficked area, and especially the people that are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, whenever they get to the corner of our block, which is where our building stands, they just lose it. Like, they'll be fine. You'll be, you can see them across the street. They're walking, minding their own business, and they just come to this corner and lose it. They will start screaming blasphemous, just blasphemy in general, and cursing and kicking, and it's wild. It's so random because it just happens in this corner. Once they get past this corner, it's like nothing ever happened. They just go back to their normal walking activity of not cursing, not screaming, not throwing anything. It's the randomest thing. And then combustion. Let's talk about combustion, because did you guys know that palm trees are extremely flammable? And California has a lot of palm trees. In fact, in front of my building, the city has planted a couple of palm trees that have been here for a couple of years. And one night, my fiance and I were sitting on our couch watching TV. It was it was a couple weeks ago, so it was pretty warm outside, and we stayed in like most of the time because I can't get away from this building because there's always something for me to do. So I'm just home most of the time. And we hear rain sounds, and I look out the window and there's no rain. And it's the middle of July, so we're like, like, we had a couple thunderstorms and summer storms, but nothing, too wild. And then he gets up and he's like, no, that really sounds like rain. And he gets up, goes into our bedroom, looks out the window, and the palm tree outside our window is on fire, and it's just brushing up against our room, like our bedroom window. And yeah, we tried calling 911, and I say tried because I failed. I literally was dialing for 911, and the call would not go through. I don't know why that happened. It's actually not even the first time that happens to me where I try calling 911 and the call doesn't go through. It doesn't make it through. So I don't know if it's because their lines are very busy, or if it's just some of that bad luck that likes to follow me around. I have no clue. But one of my tenants, she was also calling 911 and she couldn't get through. So must have just been, a lot of people were calling from the same area. I don't know. But when the firemen got here, they just put the fire out. Thank God it didn't get really, really crazy. It was kind of dying down by the time the firemen got here. But the weirdest thing was that the fire started from the top of the palm tree. And it's like it's like 2.5 stories high, I'd say. Almost 3 stories high. So for it to have started from the top, it just blew our minds. Like, we don't even know how it happened. And I didn't even ask the firemen. I was in so much shock. I just watched them put it out. And I just stood there staring at my building in disbelief as to how something could just combust out of nowhere, like on its own. And we were coming up with theories like maybe somebody from the third floor threw a cigarette and lit, the dry leaves acted as kindling and it started the fire. But I went up there to try out that theory, and you are still not that close to the top of the palm tree from the third floor, so you must have some amazing aim to get a cigarette or even just the butt of the cigarette to land at the very top. So we still don't know how that happened. It's just crazy. And then a couple weeks before that, the random self-combusting palm tree, my car was hit, just parked in a normal parking spot. It wasn't sticking out. It wasn't like in a strange area. It was just a normal parking spot on a one-way street, and it got completely wrecked from the back. So I couldn't drive my car anymore. And then last week, my fiance also exchanged paint with another vehicle on the one-way street. And I guess it's because they're very narrow and there's no parking, so people just parallel park behind other cars. I don't know. But anyway, our van also decided to die on us. So on that note, let me show you guys my finished drawing of my friend Ajee, who's quite the opposite of bad luck.